Welcome to College Hoops Weekly, presented by Jif. I'm your host, Claudette Montana, joined by SI college basketball writers Emma Baccellieri and Kevin Sweeney to recap the men's and women's Final Four. Let's first begin with the women's tournament. The UConn Huskies defeated overall number 1 seed UCLA in the Final Four by 34 points, went on to dominate Dawn Staley's Gamecocks 82-59. Emma, what were the keys to UConn winning its 12th national title?
It was really their balance. You had incredible individual performances from AZ Fudd and Sarah Strong, but it wasn't one player so much as what they had working here together. The fact that they had their big three, Fudd, Strong, and of course Paige Bueckers, all working in tandem really well was a big thing. But also, the guard play of Caitlin Chen, Ashlyn Shade coming off the bench, Jana Alfie strong inside. The fact that all of these pieces were really working together, that they were, especially as a defense, super cohesive, great communication, switching really well. It was just how deep this team is, how balanced they are, and how well they work together that I think really got them over the edge here.
Thanks, Emma. Now on to the men's Final Four, where the Houston Cougars were on both ends of the most dramatic finishes of the tournament, narrowly escaping Duke on Saturday night, only to fall short to the Florida Gators 65-63 in an absolute heartbreaker. Kevin, how did Florida win this game?
I just thought they were so resilient. This is a team that last year in the NCAA tournament lost in the first round to Colorado, gave up 102 points. And that was their biggest flaw, was they couldn't guard anybody. And in this tournament, there were times where they were great defensively. The second half was certainly a good example of that. There were times they were poor, but when they really needed to step up and get stops, they got them. And not just stops, they forced really key turnovers that completely spun the game. Houston wasn't even getting shots on the rim on those critical late game possessions. To weather the storm the way that they did against Houston is incredibly hard to do. But I thought Florida, relatively speaking, at least maintained its composure, was able to stay in the fight and chip away, and then get enough stops down the stretch to let its offense take over and win the game.
And now for our difference maker of the day. Jif makes the difference when trying to save the celery. Let's take a look at the difference makers of the tournament. Which player stood out down the stretch as the biggest difference maker for the Florida Gators?
Yeah, Walter Clayton was the story coming into the night as potentially a Shabazz Napier-esque figure in this tournament, a guy who had done everything offensively. And he was quiet, but he made so many key plays down the stretch. I thought his passing early on was big. He had the three-point play around the 8-minute mark that was absolutely massive. And then on the final play of the game, Manuel Sharp had a great opportunity to get a three off that potentially could have won Houston the national championship. The play had been drawn up as Houston wanted it. Their staff was pretty confident with the look that they got. But Walter Clayton came flying in with a incredible closeout that completely disrupted Emmanuel Sharp. And Sharp initially was going to take the three. He obviously thinks better of it halfway through and commits that costly turnover. And we see the ball just roll away from Houston, and their title hopes vanish. For a guy that was pretty consistently believed to be the worst defender on Florida, he stepped up with a massive difference-making moment in a huge spot to win the Gators the national championship.